In a sizzling salvo that set the room abuzz, Donald Trump unleashed a searing retort at Malcolm Turnbull right after the former Australian PM issued a stark warning to Daily Mail Australia. The atmosphere felt electric as Trump's words hit like a thunderclap, sparking whispers and raised eyebrows. Could this be the start of a new era in political barbs? Trump's latest diatribe, broadcast on his Truth Social feed to over 9.2 million followers, painted Turnbull as nothing more than a feeble, clueless leader, a label delivered with all the punch of a well-timed knockout. Malcolm Turnbull, the former Prime Minister of Australia who always led his country from behind, never grasped what was unfolding in China, nor did he possess the knack for it, Trump declared with biting clarity. He didn't stop there, adding that he'd long seen Turnbull as weak and ineffective, a view, he claimed, echoed by many Australians. As the digital words danced on screens, one had to wonder, was this relentless assault merely political theater, or did it signal deeper rifts yet to come? Not long after these fiery remarks, Turnbull himself offered a wry observation. "You can never take anything for granted with Donald Trump, his unpredictability is just his way," he remarked. He conceded that while Trump's style might be all about transactions, he had hoped the United States would honor its ANZUS commitments and come to Australia's aid if needed. Yet, with a shake of his head, Turnbull admitted, Trump has made it clear that he's ready to challenge even his closest allies. When pressed further by a prominent news outlet, he summed up his unease with a metaphor that painted him as a trembling leaf in the wind. This candid admission left the audience hanging. Could Australia really count on such uncertain support? Amid this turbulent exchange, the contrasting demands of international treaties came sharply into focus. Under NATO, countries like the US, UK, Germany, Canada, and France are compelled to respond militarily if any member is attacked, a promise of unity that inspires confidence. However, the 1951 ANZUS Pact, binding Australia and the US, merely obligates them to consult in times of crisis, not to launch a full-scale rescue. Trump is deliberately unpredictable, that's his style. "We simply can't assume the US would rush to our aid," Turnbull explained to Daily Mail Australia, emphasizing that consultation does not equal commitment. This delicate balance of promises and realities left many on edge. What does genuine security look like when the rules are so loosely defined? The drama deepened when the specter of tariffs reared its head. It now appears unlikely that Trump will spare Australia from a looming 25% duty on steel and aluminum set to take effect on March 12. Recalling his success in 2018, when Turnbull secured exemptions on the basis of a favorable trade surplus, he warned that history might not repeat itself this time around. Trump's attack followed soon after a Bloomberg TV segment produced in Sydney and focused on China, adding fuel to an already smoldering debate. The interview served as a wake-up call. Australia must rethink its defense and economic strategies in an increasingly volatile world. With the clock ticking and tariffs poised to hit hard, the question remained, can old tactics survive new challenges? In a candid discussion on defense, Turnbull insisted that Australia must revisit its security blueprint. "When it comes to handling our challenges, let's be honest, we can't change Trump," he told a popular China-focused show. The message was clear: every defense and security tie needs a fresh look if Australia is to stand on its own 2 feet. He stressed that the nation must craft a strategy that is less reliant on the United States, especially in an era when allies seem as unpredictable as the wind. On Bloomberg TV, he admitted that gaining another tariff exemption now would be much tougher than before, hinting that one exemption could snowball into endless demands, diluting the whole system. As the stakes grew higher, one couldn't help but ask, what is the true cost of depending on unstable allies? Turnbull's critique didn't end with tariffs and treaties. He lambasted Trump for drifting away from the shared values that once bound traditional allies like Europe and Canada. "Trump no longer follows the values we used to share with America," he stated bluntly, adding that it was obvious the U.S. leader lacked any real commitment to international law. Treaties and alliances, he argued, had lost their shine in Trump's eyes. Meanwhile, as Canada and Mexico faced 25% manufacturing tariffs on April 2nd despite being in a free trade pact with the U.S., questions about fairness and consistency roiled the global scene. Australia, enjoying a free trade agreement with the U.S. since January 2005 that was meant to wipe out import duties on 97% of non-agricultural goods, now faced similar uncertainties. With every twist, the international stage grew ever more unpredictable. What would be the fallout next? Adding another layer to the unfolding drama, Turnbull criticized China's naval exercise. He argued that while China's navy had every right to operate in international waters, it would have been far more respectful to give Australia a heads-up before launching a live-fire drill. They can run their drill, but a little courtesy would have been nice, he said, noting that the Australian government had lodged a protest. When pressed on the drill's intent, he pointed out that it was nothing more than a power display, a show of strength meant to unsettle. This isn't meant to shock or insult U.S., it's a reminder of why we must always be ready to defend ourselves, he concluded. With tensions simmering on multiple fronts, the next move seemed shrouded in uncertainty. What signal would the next maneuver send? Looking even further ahead, Turnbull warned of broader diplomatic shifts. He predicted that Chinese President Xi Jinping would seize the moment, using Trump's erratic behavior to woo wavering countries. I believe China will take massive advantage of Trump, expect Xi to be the complete opposite, steady where Trump is chaotic, respectful where Trump is rude, he observed. He went on to note that Trump wasn't just aiding Putin in Ukraine through his unpredictable actions, he was also paving the way for China to adopt a fresh, contrasting approach. As global power dynamics shifted, the quiet undercurrents of strategy and rivalry began to roar. Could this new alignment reshape the balance of power? Not to be forgotten, in 2018 Turnbull had made headlines by banning Huawei from installing Australia's 5G network, a decision made just before his resignation as Liberal PM and his replacement by Scott Morrison. That bold move was later echoed by Trump's first administration, underscoring its lasting impact. In a recent Daily Mail Australia interview, Turnbull agreed that Australia's defense spending should rise above 2% of GDP, as the US pressed for a jump to 3%. We do need to spend more on defense, but it's crucial to look at what we're really getting for that money, he said. Ultimately, his point was clear: Australia must strive to be less dependent on the United States and more self-reliant. It isn't just about throwing money at the problem, it's about building true strength from within. With the stakes as high as ever, the call for independence rang louder than before. Will Australia answer the challenge?